to the first Billinge Running Club podcast. Today we've got Lewis. And
Hello.
applause for Lewis, everyone. Just want to talk today about the club and stuff and how it started.
Okay.
What year was it? 2019 now?
2019, October 2019 actually, yeah.
2019, so it's been going on for a few years now.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to tell the people at home how it all started and people who were involved and, you know?
Yeah, of
what gave you
course.
the idea?
It started with two lads, basically, yeah. Two lads. Myself and Dan Miller. We were just talking one day and sparked this idea around how oral Billinge, sort of the area that we resided in, just didn't have a social running club. And I'd never been a part of a running club before. Dan had, so he had all this, you know, experience, this fast experience.
Oh, yeah. He knows everyone, doesn't he?
He does know everybody, yeah, it's true. Shout out to Dan Miller. But yeah, and we just started talking about it and just hashing through these ideas around what it would look like, what we'd like to do, and then before we knew it, we piloted a 5K trial trail event.
Yes,
I remember, yeah. Of course you remember, you were there. You remember?
I was there, yeah. I remember it like it was yesterday. And in those days, though, it was kind of the pilot one. I think there was maybe 4 or 5 people, and then quite quickly, in a matter of 2-3 weeks, the club just went from 5 people to 30 people. How did that make you feel?
A bit overwhelmed, I would say. I think there was a lot of responsibility at the time because obviously October 2019 was when
It's pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID, and we'd started to mark the we started to mark these events, so it wasn't like the group running. It was very much like we'll mark it.
Was that
you
the
run
banana
it.
things?
Oh, God.
Not the banana things. The banana.
The flags.
The bamboo things.
The bamboo. Oh, this was pre-bamboo. Yeah. I'm talking. We had tested. I remember we had some shiny disco material that we hung from the trees.
Oh, like the sellotape stuff.
Yeah.
I remember.
Oh my God.
That was. Yeah.
It was a disaster because of the residue left. Let's just say there was a lot of course sweeping after the event.
Yeah. I think some of those reflected bands, I think they're still in Billinge.
You might come across them, yeah. And if you do, just bin them. Yeah, just dispose them.
Put them in the bin.
But we'd obviously boomed. We'd started with I think it was 5 to 7 on that first event. Yourself, Ian Trencher, Louise, Sarah, Anne, myself, Dan, Lucy. We'd started at I can't remember the park. What's the park called? What's that park over there? But we started there.
We should know this.
Should have done your research before this podcast.
Lewis does the daily briefs, and I used to be one of the running leaders, and we don't know what the park over there is called. Anyway,
we started there, but I remember we did the course marking.
We did, yeah.
And I went out to do course check. So we'd put all these flags out. There were these signs that we'd laminated, and we'd put them out. And I'd gone out to course check, and I had spares in my backpack. And I would say 70% of the signs had been ripped off.
By people just walking through the woods?
Yeah, walking through Oral Water Park, because that was the first route that we did.
Yeah.
And they were just in the actual pond itself, they were just all over the place, and it was just an absolute disaster. I don't even think you'd call it a pond, would you? I don't think, you know what, yeah, you say kids, but I'm pretty sure Dan and I had we caught a few elder people, should we say? Elderly people. Oh yeah.
No,
I mean, to be fair, you don't know what these markers are. Yeah, you don't know what these markers are, and you're just gonna, if you're proud of your area, you're just gonna be well, it's somebody just a form of graffiti, right? So you're just gonna take it down. But we'd learned from that mistake, I would say, going forward.
Amazing. Well, I mean, Billinge Running Club is a real huge mixed bag of people. Like myself, people always called me Mr. 5K.
The ghost of the Billinge Running Club now, though.
I've been on sabbatical, what are you about? But no, for me, 5K is my event. For someone else who comes to the club, they might be a marathon runner. But then we have the ultra spectrum. Someone like yourself and Mr. Miller, and I believe now Mr. Trencher.
Ian Trencher,
He's an ultra runner now, isn't he?
Absolutely, he's broken to that. Jay's
an ultra runner.
There's a few.
There's a few. So, I mean, huge mixed bag of different kind of runners. And, you know, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about your next race. And, you know, would you like to tell people what your next race is, Lewis?
No, I wouldn't, but okay. So, yeah. I think most people know this event. It's the Lakeland 100.
100?
Yeah.
Miles.
I just do it for the checkpoints and the food, but Lakeland 100. They're doing some great virtual events as well, so everyone can take part. I think the virtual has just started this week.
Yeah, I saw some people on my Instagram. They've started the Leyland 50 virtual. I don't know about the 100.
Yeah, I think they both started at the same time, so you've got 2 weeks to do it. But it's good, it's great. Like, they obviously support charities from up north, and epic events, and the Endurance Store have done some great work there. But yeah, the Leighton 100 is the next event on the calendar for me. I think the only event, to be honest. I'm going to retire after that. I'm done.
Well, I mean, I'm in a great position in this club because, it's not every day you get to meet ultra runners. Like, people hear about, marathon runners, crazy people. Then you get people like you and other participants in the club, 100 milers. So I'd like to ask you some questions about how you prepare for that. Like, what drives you to do 100 miles? And how do you even mentally and physically prepare for that?
It's a good question. It's a very good question. A few people who are close to me, I would say, know about my training regime. It's not by the book, should we say. It's very, I would say, unorthodox. I don't really think I've got a training regime. I think most of what I do is like run to feel.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and I've done some events prior to 100-mile distance that I like of 50 miles, 60 miles, even 50 Ks. So there's definitely a base there. But primarily for me, I go out with this mindset now of just it's a day out. Like, I'm just going out. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to get the most out of the day. Yeah. I would say prep going into it is more around time on feet. So
time on feet.
Yeah, most of my work is I'm on my feet most days.
Yeah.
I'll do minimal miles each week. I can't. Yeah, I'm probably the worst person.
Is there an average mileage?
It fluctuates. Honestly, I'm the worst person. If this podcast ever gets bigger, we definitely need better people on it than me, especially with questions like this. But I think it fluctuates. If I'm having a good training block, I don't know what a training block is. If I'm having a good training block, it'll be consistent. So it's consistency with me. It's like, if I'm running every day, it means I'm doing all right. I'm not having any injuries. I'm not having any illness. So I'm feeling fit. I'm feeling good. Still bevying and stuff like that. Doing all the things you probably shouldn't. But
like we're doing right now, by the way.
Like we're doing right now, yeah. I mean,
sorry if it's a bit ropey. We've had a few pints.
Yeah, got back up as well because it's last orders. After all.
Yeah, last orders. 20:09.
But I think with return in regards to prep, I'm not the best person. I think a lot of people go into it. I know I was one of these people where I went into it thinking, there's a magic thing to this ultra running. Like, there's a magic thing to those people who run that kind of distance. I say run. Most of what I do is fast hiking, not fast hiking, walking. Yeah. But I love the kind of mental aspect. That's the challenge. Is
mental side.
Yeah.
So for you, see, someone like me, for me, it's the race. It's the hit the podium. I need to I want blood on race day. So
blood on race day.
So for you, is it more? It's more the kind of the achievement of getting through the 100 miles.
It's just for the t-shirt, to be honest. I think. Probably. Yeah. I think the finish. I just want to finish it. I just want to get round.
Well, I mean, 100 miles is a huge achievement.
It is.
It's not many people are going to do that. You speak to people who've done marathons, you did a marathon. You're basically doing 4 marathons in a row.
But
That takes a lot, man.
we had pre-podcast conversations about this, so I think I would rather run 100 miles.
Yeah.
I say run loosely. I would rather go the distance of 100 miles than run a marathon.
Really?
Yeah, and that's because I think marathon like training or like marathon runners go out with such intensity and like that, I don't know, that relentlessness to like go at a certain pace consistently over a certain set of time, like a certain amount of time.
Yeah, they'll burn them out fast.
Oh, I couldn't imagine that. Have you ever? You've not done a marathon, have you?
Me? I'm Mr. 5K.
I'll
do a fast 5K and then my wheels fall off.
I've not even done a marathon though. Like I've not. Yeah, I've done. The first ever event I did was like a trail. It was a trail 13. It was Delamere. Yeah, it was Delamere.
Forest.
Yeah,
Chester.
yeah, Delamere 13k, 30 mile. Sorry, half marathon.
Right.
Yeah, that was the first trail event I ever did. I did it in road
okay.
shoes. I had fun with that. It was good.
Well, I mean, another question for obviously people out there who are looking to get into the trail running, ultra side, even half marathon trail running. What I find very interesting is the nutrition. So we've just spoke briefly then about preparation.
I'm laughing just because I find this funny.
I'm trying to be serious in this.
Yeah. Sorry, I apologise.
Sorry.
Nutrition, guys. Let's talk about it.
Nutrition. So we talked about building up to race day. You're saying basically it's time on feet and it's mindset on the day. But when you're there on the day, loads of people are like, oh, what are the best carbs? What are the best protein? What's the best carb loading? And from speaking to another ultra runner in the club, Dan Miller, he's always said his favourite thing to eat are pies. So I ask you this: when you're on the ultra run, what is your go-to food? Nutrition.
I would say he's not wrong. I think real food is my go-to.
Food.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, I can do a few gels and a few these blocks, these chewy blocks, but I think real food is what I work best on. I think if you're out for that long, especially like if you're going for like 24 plus event, then you want real food because you're gonna get sick and tired of like the sugary gels or whatever it is, sweets. Like you're gonna want real food. So for me, pork pies definitely.
Pork pies.
Cocktail sausages.
Greg's.
Big fan of the old cocktail sausages. Pepperami.
Pepperami.
Well, yeah, I tried it once.
Not risky
not
with
fan.
the spices, no?
Yeah, a bit greasy for me. Yeah, a bit too salty. Let's just say that. Too many electrolytes.
Right.
But yeah, I think real food. Nuts actually.
Nuts.
Tell a lie. Nuts. I like trail mix with chocolate buttons or something like that. I think that really helps me because I just graze. I graze when I'm running. Yeah.
So you wouldn't stop and have like a huge meal and continue. It's a few bits
Oh
of this,
yeah,
few bits of this.
you move. I mean, I just tend to try and graze as I'm going along. I'll try and on those longer events have it a bit more structured, so it's like every 20 minutes I want to make sure I'm getting some calories in. But
Okay.
sometimes it just goes out the window, and then you're struggling to get food in you. So you've got to rely on what you like, I suppose, what goes down easiest.
So real food, that's really interesting. And we've got one more question for you today, Lewis, because loads of runners love this topic, especially myself. I love running shoes. I love them. Now, I know all about the road running shoes, but an ultra marathon shoe, what would be your go-to shoe for 100 miles?
Make sure you've done miles in it beforehand, so make sure you've worn it in. Do not rely on shoes that you've just bought and you've only had for at least a week before going into a 100 mile. That's my tip. Otherwise, your pinky toenail will fall off.
What kind of brands? Like what kind of?
I think Hoka, probably ones.
Hoka, okay.
Yeah, I think they're up there. Just correct me there, Hoka. Is it Hoka? Anyway, who cares? I would say though, right now, my go-to are Salomon. I had a pair of their Ultra Pros, which I think are discontinued now. They were perfect for the 100. I didn't have to change my shoes. I'm normally some, you do, like, especially depending on the weather, but they would be my go-to. But something just with a bit of comfort. I mean, you're out on your feet for a long time. You're going to want something that's a bit spongy, a bit responsive. And depending on the terrain, you kind of want that balance. So you don't want something that's too stacked where you can't feel what's underfoot, but you don't want something that's too minimal where you're feeling absolutely everything when you're running.
And what about the grip under the foot? I'm guessing you're not going out with big lugs and stuff, or do you go out with big lugs on? Like,
no, I would
prefer for like the worst case scenario of the trail, because I'm guessing you're doing a bit of road, bit of like through the hills, mud. What would you prefer, like, the grip to be like?
Yes, I mean, that's a good question, because I think the lugs matter depending on, like, the weather. I think, if you've got bad weather, like it's raining, slippery underfoot, it is a bit, like, soggy. The Lakeland 100, you don't really get much bog, so you don't really need aggressive lugs. I would say you're probably looking for shoes that are more catered towards, like, the US with their compact trail events, like, where it's just hard-packed ground. So you're looking for, I think, again, Hoka, so it's just minimal lugs. I would say, like, bloody hell, 2 milli, something like that.
2 millimeters.
Yeah. Because that's going to give you enough tread, enough traction. But more importantly, for me, a wider shoe, because I've got wide feet. So if I could get away with it, I'd probably run in Ultras. But they're 0 drop, so they offer nothing. Yeah, exactly. Maybe one for another podcast.
Yeah, I think that's another topic for another podcast. I've run in Ultras, love them. Your toes can just go. There's no
spray.
Spread. Sorry, it's sponsored by Guinness. They can spread or spray, but we're not quite sure. Out. So it's a natural foot position.
Yeah.
But the 0 drop does put a lot on your Achilles heel, and you can't. I know that because I've blown my calf in an Ultra in the past. So love and hate relationship with those.
Gathered.
But, we'll save that for another show.
That'd be good. I'd like that. Yeah.
I think we'll go into shoes in a lot more depth another time.
Hopefully we'll get another episode.
Yeah. So anyway, episode 2 next week. Any ideas who might or might not be on?
I have no idea, but I'm sure we'll have a special guest. Yeah.
I think maybe we just put people's names in the flamingo and
just pick it out. Yeah. Am I going to be on this, or is it going to be you interviewing going forward? I think you're now the.
Am I the Joe Rogan of the show?
Oh, you are the Joe Rogan of the Billinge Running Club podcast, yeah?
Well, we will find out next week, guys. So anyway, thank you for watching.
Waiting on that endorsement from Spotify.
Lewis, founder of the Billinge Running Club.
One of,
yes, there was many. But thank you for watching. I had a great show today. It's last hour and we're going to have to go.
We're closing up. We've got to go.
We're going to have to leave. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, guys. See you later.